Hello everybody, welcome to Punk Right. My name is Smee. Today's topic is Bob Dylan. We're going to look at Bob Dylan not as a songwriter, more as a storyteller in his lyrical work. Recently he released another epic style song called Murder Most Foul, which retells some of the grisly and culturally demoralizing events of the 1963 assassination of JFK. This song is less of a song and more of a lyrical ballad. It's almost poetic because of its form. I mean, it doesn't really have any structure that resembles traditional songwriting. There's no real verse, there's no chorus, there's no bridge that takes you to a second part. The work resembles more of like a beat poetry, I guess. It's a beat poetry set to a backdrop of classical music. Although the music is not his guitar singer-songwriter style, the prose is not a deviation for Dylan. And I opine that this work in particular is best read as poetry as opposed to putting it under a song. Dylan's words, which are sometimes cliche and built around some standard rhyming, it's stewed in anguish and regret, and there's a tinge or a certain passivity of these tragic events that happened that summer with JFK. Recognizing this inevitable and these unspoken truths about the assassination that we all kind of comfortably accept. But what Dylan achieves in this song is unique in terms of his storytelling. And he reminds us that we should pay attention to this. It's an important form that is our heritage. Still, things are not always what they seem, and we're obliged to listen to Dylan's story, but with a grain of salt, for it's candidly his. His lyrics are stewed in his own memory as he revisits what these events of that time period meant to him. His singing is very sardonic, and he's a bit cynical about government and power and leadership and authority, but that's Bob Dylan. His narrative captures the time period and encapsulates this memory. His extensive lists of songs ad nauseum kind of demonstrate his place in that epoch. Then, in the last line of the song, he takes liberty to inject himself right into it. This is a great paradox. It says his song is contemporary, yet now it's referring to the past, which is actually where he was living, and very clever. Dylan writes in the song, if you want to remember, you better write down the names, because he knows these things fall into the forgotten. And how true that is, which finally brings me to the point that I want to make. This is why we write stories. It's not to go back and tell actually what happened or to elucidate on some perceived truth. That's impossible. Physiological memory, it's proven to be fallible, it's fragmented, it's inaccurate. We easily fill it with content that is based on our own biases, but I guess that's the point. Bob Dylan takes this element of storytelling and he places JFK in that current context, and so we can think about it as it applies to us right now, which is why we should pay attention. For Dylan, just like all of us, you can either write or you cannot write. So why do you take the time to sit down, pour over a keyboard, or make endless curls of ink on a notebook that you probably won't ever go back and look at? The truth is, there's only one reason, and that is you write for yourself. There is no greater God than you when it comes to your writing. In the last line of the song, he adds himself to a long list of musical references, which gives a sadly ironic sense that his own work, too, will soon fall into the annals of historical irrelevance. And I say this with some reservation, of course, for irrelevance only arises if we fail to exercise our memory, no matter how contorted or erroneous it becomes, and actually write it down. Think about why you write, and remember, you don't need anyone's permission. You write for yourself. If you have any other purpose, you're missing the reason for writing. Thanks for joining us. That's it for today on Punk Right. Go and check out Bob Dylan's Murder Most Foul, his newest material. He's an old dude, we don't know how much more we're going to get from him, so go check it out. Meanwhile, you don't need anyone's permission. Just keep writing, Punk Right. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out, but now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't. Shit, I've screwed it up.